There we go. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Happy hump day. How we all doing? Welcome back. I'm ready to attack it, ready to rock and roll. And yeah, we're going to change up the format just a little bit. We're going to dive into a nice little morning lesson, have some fun with it over the next 30 minutes, and then we'll dive into the pre-market rundown. We'll also dive into the morning game plan session like always, giving us that opportunity to review your stocks, give you guys the breakdown as far as what I'm looking at for today and how we're looking to make some money in the market, guys. So tune in, say good morning, say what's up. Let me know that you guys are here, and let's make sure that the audio is coming in pretty good and all that good stuff. If you guys cannot tell, I had to make a few adjustments over the weekend with my PC still giving me some issues. So running back off the MacBook. All right, so we got a few announcements as well with the small account challenge, how we're looking to take the small account from TD over to E-Trade, just so I can trade the small account with you guys here on my Mac because TD Ameritrade does not work, and a little bit of a different streaming setup as well, just so I can stream the right way. So let's do a quick audio check, make sure the stream quality is coming in pretty good. And if we're all set, guys, we'll dive right into it. We'll start the week off strong with some education, and then again, diving into your top stocks and really just making sure that you guys are all set, ready to rock for today, and that you guys are prepared. So where's the good morning at, baby? AJ, what's up, boss man? Good morning. Good morning, AJ, Corey, Matthew, Johnny. What's up, guys? Again, I'm just waiting for the good morning. Want to make sure that we're all set, ready to rock and roll. Loud and clear. Ooh, I love it. That's what I'm talking about. Good stuff. All right, all right. Mic check, mic check. Oh, it is loud and clear. Oh, that's beautiful. All right, cool. AJ, what's up, boss? You're away on vacation and the new start time? Yeah, so we're making a few adjustments to the live stream format in the morning, just because there's a lot of traders that typically head out around like 11 o'clock anyway, but there's a lot of traders that come in the morning. So we're really trying to find the right time to do like lessons and trainings, really make sure that everybody's here and that can participate. So what I'm thinking, at least for the rest of this week, the way that we're going to run the stream is right around 8:15. We'll be going live, and we'll go right into a live lesson, 15, 20 minutes, really pertaining to something that you guys need help with. So again, we'll spend about 15, 20 minutes in the morning diving right into a live training, a market training. And then right around 8:45, we dive into what we call the pre-market rundown. That's when you guys come prepared with your top stocks for today, right? If you're looking at NVIDIA, that's an opportunity for you to say, hey, let's take a look at NVIDIA. I'm looking at it. I think there's potential. Or, hey, I'm looking to get long on Carvana, Josh. What do you think? And we'll spend about 30 minutes diving deep into the pre-market rundown, where basically I'm going to review every single stock that you have on your radar, that's on your watch list, really give you an unbiased opinion and really let you know what I see and really help you and make sure that you're prepared for the day. All right. And then right around 9:15, right? So from like 8:45 until 9:15, that's the pre-market rundown, right? That 30-minute window of just reviewing your stocks, making sure that you guys are prepared for the day. And then right at 9:15 until 9:30, I review my top 3 stocks, right? So it's always going to consist of the SPY, the Qs, and then there's going to be something else that usually stands out to me, whether that's a small cap, whether that's Tesla, NVIDIA, AMD, right? There's always going to be another stock that really stands out. So we're going to take that 15 minutes to really dissect the SPY, take a look at the Qs, my top stocks, and make sure you guys are prepared with what I'm looking at, why I'm looking at it. And again, make sure you guys are all set for the day. 9:30 rolls around, we start trading live. We also do private market training with some of our market mastery students, to where, again, I'm going to invite them onto a call. They have an opportunity to ask me questions, ask for help, get me involved when they're actually looking to take their trades. So again, 9:30 until 11 is live trading, live commentary. You guys have the opportunity to say, hey, WOLF is moving. What do you think? I'm looking to get involved. But then at the same time, we invite our market mastery students into a private call for the hour and a half and really help them with their trades as they're actually looking to get involved with stuff. And so that's going to be the format moving forward. Normally around 11 o'clock, we're done. We're wrapping it up. We're heading out for the day. Go enjoy life, right? Enjoy the freedom the stock trading gives you. So that's going to be the format. Again, to really sum it up, 8:15 to 8:45, live market training. We'll do a nice lesson in the morning, okay? 8:45 to 9:15, the pre-market rundown. 9:15 to 9:30, the morning game plan session. And then from 9:30 until 11, that's going to be live commentary, live trading, and then our private market mastery training session as the markets actually open during that time. All right. So that's what to expect moving forward. Really, no real big adjustments, just kind of switching up what times we do certain things. But as far as what we do on a day-to-day basis, none of that's been taken away. One thing that we did as well, guys, if you're paying attention until everybody kind of gets settled in here. And again, the lesson's only going to be maybe 15 minutes. So again, we have plenty of time. One thing you're going to notice as well inside of chat is you have two new tabs at the top right-hand corner of the live stream, right? So you have stream, which is going to be my stream that I'm pushing right now, okay? And then you have your scanners tab, which we're going to be streaming our scanners 24/7, 365, okay? So you got your pre-market gap scanners, you got your pre-market movers, your intraday scanners, you have your option scanners as well. So instead of me having to be here, instead of me having to make sure those scanners are up and live, if I have computer issues, at least we know that, hey, the scanners are up 24/7, 365, right? And you can see all the scanners up at the top. Well, I mean, I see them up at the top. They're on my big 55-inch TV in front of me. But anyway, that's how you access the scanners. Now, you're probably saying like, okay, well, now I have to toggle back and forth to see your screen, and now I have to toggle back over to scanners. It's actually pretty simple. You can actually open the stream with a pop-up. So you can open your scanners in a pop-up window or a stream in its own individual pop-up window, right? You can take this, drag it off to the side, go back over to the scanners tab, and then run the scanners inside of chat. And the reasons, right? I can really just dial in what quality I want. And then I have that scrollable tab. Scrollable, I can zoom in, actually see what the scanner when I use the scrollable tab. So I would rather, for me, scanners, and then off to the side, you can run my stream set ready to rock and roll. All right. So if you guys notice, because we made some change, let me know inside that. But yeah, guys, we're all set ready. And give me using TradeIdeas and I got a whole lot of new things going on, guys. A lot of new things going on. So I'm just trying to make sure that we're all set. We're dialed in here, right? Because we're going to start diving into it here in a moment. And I want to make sure I'm recording the lesson. I want to make sure you guys are getting the live stream, again, loud and clear. And again, we'll wait about 4 minutes. We'll dive into it here in about 4 minutes at 8:30. Again, it's going to be a simple, quick hit lesson this morning. I really just want to break down trend lines. A lot of traders have a hard time drawing trend lines and identifying key trend lines. So I just want to take about 10 to 15 minutes and really talk about trend lines, right? How to draw them if you don't know how. Looking at longer time frame trend lines versus being so like micro zoomed in. And looking at these really, really, really short-term trend lines and like really getting out of the bad habit of having like 100 trend lines on your chart, right? Only focusing on like the main and like the key trend lines. So again, very simple lesson, but there are a few people that have reached out like, hey, how do I draw trend lines? And so we're going to take about 10 to 15 minutes this morning, really dissect trend lines, how to draw those trend lines, right? Strategies around the trend lines as well. And then show you guys a few examples of what some traders do when drawing trend lines. That's a red flag. And then, what I do when looking at drawing trend lines, and again, how to place trades around trend lines as well. So again, super, super simple stuff, but we'll wait for a few more people to tune in. We'll dive into it right at 8:30. That also gives me like 3 minutes to make sure I get everything set up. All right, cool. So I think we are all set. Cool. So I got the recording going. Fantastic. You guys can hear me inside of chat. Fantastic. Absolutely love it. Ready to rock, and we're ready to roll, baby. And again, if you have any stocks that you want reviewed, again, we'll start that at 8:45. So make sure you have that list together. Make sure you're ready to type that up. Right at 8:45, we'll dive deep into it. Steve, what's up, brother man? Good morning. Again, this is a new format, so I'm sure a lot of people are still waiting to come in around 8:45 to 9 o'clock, but we'll go ahead and make that announcement again. Make sure everybody is fully aware of what time we're officially going live here inside of chat. Again, what to expect. And if you guys have any feedback, just let me know. Any adjustments that you want me to make. Again, let me know. But I really like the structure. I think it's going to work good for everybody. Again, you guys got your scanners 24/7, 365. You know, if I'm having computer issues or something comes up, at least you guys have your scanners. I can work remotely if anything were to come up. So again, I like the format. But before we officially dive into it, we were using TD Ameritrade for the small account. I'm going to have to liquidate that TD Ameritrade small account, take it on over to E-Trade because E-Trade has an HTML5 web-based platform that I'm actually able to use here on my MacBook. Again, I cannot use TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim on my Mac. It just really bogs it down. It's not really built for the Mac. So after doing some research, it looks like E-Trade, they have an online web-based platform that's actually really nice. And so that's going to be who I'm going with. So the account's been opened. The account's been funded. I'm just waiting for those funds to settle. But again, moving forward, I will be finishing off the small account challenge using E-Trade versus TD for those reasons. All right, guys. So it's 8:30. Let's dive into it. So again, today I want to discuss trend lines, right? Everybody knows what a trend line is. Most of all traders, right, know how to like draw trend lines. But just because you know what a trend line is and just because you know how to draw them doesn't mean that you're drawing them correctly. Doesn't mean you're identifying them correctly. I cannot tell you how many traders I've spoken to that'll have like 10 to 20 trend lines on their chart and they will connect every single point. And I mean, it's not a bad thing to go through and obviously like identify an overall trend and draw your trend lines. But when you start seeing your chart, you know, look like this, where you're literally just drawing trend lines off every single point, right? That's when you start seeing, I think, inconsistency when you're taking trades around trend lines, right? There's a lot of strategies around trend lines, right? You have wedges that consist of trend lines against the highs and the lows. You have falling channels. You have rising channels. You have bullish pivots. You have bullish flags that incorporate trend lines, right? You have higher low breaks of downtrends. We call that the boom, boom, bang. You have lower high cracks of trend lines, right? For the dump on off. So, I mean, there's a lot of strategies around trend lines. And so it's really important to understand a trend line, really important to understand how to draw a trend line. But again, I see a lot of traders, guys, that will literally draw a trend line on every candle they see. And when it's all said and done, I mean, they'll have maybe 10, 15, 20 trend lines. And what do we know about trend lines? They're all subjective, right? They're subjective. Like my trend line could be off by about 20 cents compared to your trend line. And, you know, Steve's trend line could be slightly different than Corey's, and Corey's is different than, you know, Alan's. We all have the same idea. We're all seeing somewhat of the same thing, but we're all drawing it somewhat different, right? Maybe Corey's running off the wicks. Maybe Steve's running off the bodies, right? Maybe Corey starts at this low and draws it up. And then, hey, maybe Steve comes in and draws it off these lows to the upside, right? Seeing the same thing, but overall, right? Slightly different. So here's what I really want to talk about, right? We know it's important to understand how to draw a trend line and know what a trend line is. It's pretty basic stuff. But even some traders that I've spoken to that have been in, the game for a year, 2 years, they'll have 15, 20 trend lines on their charts. And then they start reviewing trades with me and it's like, I'm not finding success. I'm trading trend lines, but I'm not finding success. It's because they're trading off the wrong types of trend lines, right? So when I'm looking at a trend line to draw, I want to find the most important trend line, right? The key trend line, the most significant trend line that I can see, right? I want to be more, I guess, 30,000 foot overview. I want to be more macro compared to micro. I don't want to be so zoomed in and, be drawing trend lines, for example, off of these higher lows that I see so many traders doing. That'll come in and be like, yep, here's a trend line. I'm going to take this for a 0.3 or a 0.4 or a trend line crack. And I mean, that could be a strategy that works. That could be something that, again, works for you, coming in, zooming in, and really playing these ultra short-term trend lines to like scalp quick moves off of. And I mean, this is an example where, hey, that would have been a trend line that would have held on up. But I see so many traders coming in and they'll do that 20, 30 times throughout the day and just start drawing all these trend lines, and they don't see the consistency that they want to see because they're not focused on the most significant trend lines. So that's really what I want to talk about today, is really getting into the habit of, if you utilize trend lines as a part of your trading, that you're drawing them off of significant points, right? For example, this is a low of day. That's a significant point. All right. We opened, we dropped down. That's our low of day. So that would be one significant point. And we need 2 significant points to draw a trend line. Okay. So here we go. We have this low of day. We rip on up, put in this high day, and then we pull back. Okay. Then we start to bounce. Okay. Is this a significant pullback low? I would say no. Right? I don't think this is significant point number 2. Why is that? Because we didn't put in a high a day after that, right? If we would have had this low of day, run up into a high day, we would have pulled back, put in a low, and then proceeded to put in a new high a day. I would say, hey, that's a significant point. That was our pullback prior to making a new high a day. But we can see here that we put in a lower high. So that, to me, I would scratch that from being, a significant point to run a trend line off of. But here's a pullback low right here prior to making a new high a day. So now that I see this pullback low prior to pushing into a new high a day, I could look at this and say, hey, this low would be more significant than this though, because this pullback low was prior to making a new high a day compared to this pullback low not getting that high a day. So how I would read this is, hey, here's our low of day. That's significant point number 1, right? And then here is our pullback low prior to making a new high a day, which would be significant point number 2. And you only need 2 significant points to draw a trend line, right? And it doesn't have to necessarily be the low of day in this pullback low, but really just take a step back and remember 2 significant points, 2 points that really stand out to you. Okay, versus coming in and saying, well, you know what? Here's a low and there's a higher low right there. So I'm going to run a trend line off this low and this higher low and this higher low. You know what I mean? And I see a lot of traders doing that, or coming in and saying, you know what? I'm going to choose these lows, right? Here's a pullback low, right? And then I'm going to draw it up. And then they just start really getting a little crazy with their trend lines. They got one here running there. They got one here off these lows. And then before you know it, they can't even see the candles because they have so many trend lines and they're not looking at significant points, right? And again, with trend lines being so subjective, we need to really make sure that we're focused on the strongest ones, the ones that the majority of traders are drawing, the majority of traders are utilizing and focused on, right? Because again, if you just really take a step back and think about trading from a psychology standpoint, just trading psychology, right? If you have 100 traders in the market, okay, And 70 to 80 of those traders are drawing trend lines correctly and utilizing the most significant trend lines that they see, again, off maybe this low of day and then this pullback low. And let's say it comes back down into that trend line for the third time, and you have 80% of the traders, right? 80 of the 100 traders that drew that same exact trend line, the odds of it holding on up on point 0.3 are pretty high, right? But then if you have a trader, right, that comes in and they're going to start drawing trend lines, say off, these insignificant points, right? What I would say would be insignificant points. Again, let's say there's 100 traders in the market. Okay. You got maybe 10 or 20 people drawing trend lines like crazy. They're addicted to trend lines. I got a trend line addiction. They just got to have a lot of them, right? And let's say like out of the 100 traders in the market, you have 10 or 20 of those traders looking at these types of trend lines, and the stock comes back down into that trend line for a possible entry. Do you think that trend line is going to hold on up, right? The probability is saying no, right? If you only have 10 or 20 traders out of 100 looking at this trend line, for example, it could hold on up, but the odds are against you, right? But then if you zoom out and say, hey, this is a pretty clear and pretty obvious trend line, right? It's a pretty significant trend line. It's being drawn and being identified off 2 significant points. If you see the stock come back down into that trend line for the third point, right? Again, trading psychology, 70 to 80 of 100 traders are looking at the same trend line, trading off the same trend line. The odds are that that trend line will most likely hold on up and be a little bit more valid. Okay, guys. So that really just sums it up. I mean, that's how quick I wanted to keep this lesson. I really just wanted to hit it on the head. Okay. Trend lines are a very, very popular tool, a popular way of, doing TA, right? And so again, there's a lot of traders that utilize trend lines to base trades off of. I'm one of them, right? And trend lines are very, very simple to learn how to draw, right? To identify trend lines. But the biggest thing is like, again, a lot of traders, they get a little carried away with trend lines and how many trend lines they have and how they're drawing their trend lines. Just like traders can get a little carried away with indicators, right? They'll have 10 EMAs. They'll have the RSI and the momentum indicator and this indicator on their chart. They get a little carried away with indicators, right? Take a step back, simplify the process, focus on the most important, most popular indicators, right? We talk about that a lot. Same thing with trend lines, right? Don't get carried away. Take a step back, focus on the most popular, most significant trend lines, right? And then look for entries around those trend lines. Then look for strategies, whether that be a break of a downtrend off of, say, a higher low, like right here, right? You have this trend line against these highs. Okay. You finally put in a lower high prior to breaking the downtrend, right? That would be looked at as a, right, pretty solid downtrend. And then there was a strategy that presented itself around that trend line, which was a higher low break of the downturn for the next leg up. But really just always take a step back. Don't get so carried away, which is going all crazy with trend lines here and there and trying to trade every single trend line, again, that you see. So again, simplify the process. Focus on the most significant trend lines, the trend lines that are just obvious, the trend lines that just stand out to you, that you're like, yep, that's a pretty significant trend line, not something where you feel like you're getting a little carried away. Again, always take a step back, look at the bigger picture, zoom out a little bit, right? And then simply sit back and wait for a setup or a strategy to appear at, say, one of those trend lines. If you come to find out you are a trend line trader, right? And I do like trading trend lines myself, right? There are so many strategies around trend lines, right? Like higher low breaks of downtrends for the long entry, or whether that's going to be a lower high crack of a trend line for the drop on off, right? Whether that's trading the trend line just because the stock has been grinding the trend line, say, all freaking day. Whatever the case is, there's always going to be some kind of setup, some kind of opportunity around these very popular, very significant trend lines. So just take a step back, simplify the process, focus on the ones that really stand out, those obvious trend lines. And again, just try and eliminate some of the noise, right? That's what we're trying to do, is eliminate some of the noise and then focus on only the best of the best setups and the best of the best opportunities in the market. And again, one of the best ways to make sure that you're getting ready to get involved in one of the best setups and one of the best opportunities is to make sure that the types of TA that you're doing, whether that's trend lines or levels of support and resistance, that you're finding those key areas, right? We talk about, support resistance, find key levels of support and resistance, right? Anybody can come in here and they can mark up, 20 different levels of support and resistance off Thursday, right? I could go in here and mark up 20 different potential levels, right, of support and resistance just from Thursday alone. But that's not the goal. The goal is to keep it simple, eliminate the noise, focus on the key levels of support and resistance, right? To again go from 20 levels down to say 3. And those 3 are the most popular, the most obvious, those key levels where the odds of a trade setting up and going in our favor at or near one of those levels is higher, right, than one of those levels that are may considered a light level of support resistance. Okay. And the same thing applies with trend lines. Trend lines are levels of support and resistance. So don't get carried away. Always remember, focus on the key levels of support and resistance, key levels, right? Key trend lines, and then sit back and wait for a setup to appear at one of your key levels, then look to get involved. And I think today was a great day to start with a little bit of a lesson discussing trend lines, because some of our analysis today really comes down to a trend line that we have here on the SPY, right? We have a key level of support and we have a pretty key uptrend that the SPY is coming down to, right? And again, I wanted to start off with that lesson, really give you guys some clarity around trend lines before diving into the SPY, because of a lot of our analysis today on the SPY comes down to this multi-day trend line that we have, and it also falls right around a pretty key level of support. And so all we're going to do today on the SPY is wait for the SPY to come down to us into this level and then simply set up and provide us with an opportunity and give us some kind of strategy, right? Give us some kind of reason to actually pull the trigger, to actually get involved at these key levels of support and this uptrend support as well. I could have a million trend lines and a million levels of support resistance. Okay. I could get a little carried away, but I have one key uptrend. I have one key level of support that intersect at the same price. And that's such a key level that I want to wait for the market to come to me, provide me with an opportunity. And if we see something setting up, then I can get involved. And at least I know at that point in time that the probabilities are in my favor, right? I go from maybe a sloppy, premature stop out trade to a trade where, hey, I really feel like I have the probabilities in my favor for this trade to go with me versus go against me, guys. All right. So that was our little bit of a quick hit lesson today, just giving you guys a quick little refresher on trend lines, right? Simplify the process, eliminate the noise, focus on key levels, and then simply sit back on your hands, wait for the market to come to you, give you an opportunity, then simply get prepared, get dialed in, and make it happen, guys. The stream is blurry. You got the quality set at the highest. It only shows a 720. Do you not stream on TikTok? I got banned over on TikTok. Okay, so if the stream's blurry, let me go ahead and drop the stream real quick. Let me re-push the stream and see if we can't get a little bit of a better stream going for you guys today. So yeah, give me one moment. I'm going to go ahead and drop this, reboot it, and let's see if it comes in a little bit better for you guys. Give me about 2 minutes and we'll be right back over on YouTube and here.